What if death is not an ending, but a doorway? A place where silences wait and shadows demand your soul. Are you ready to uncover what lies beyond the last heartbeat? Stay with me, because the truth will change everything. I never believed in signs, dreams, visions, omens, just noise from the brain, until last winter. I was driving home late, a straight 2-lane highway that cuts through farmland. It was snowing, the kind of storm that swallows the horizon. No cars ahead, none behind, just me, headlights tunneling through the white. And then the static started, not on the radio, I had that off. It was in my ears, like a swarm of tiny crackles filling my skull. I thought maybe it was tinnitus, stress, whatever. But then the car's dashboard flickered. Every light dimmed, surged and dimmed again. The engine coughed. And in that flicker of silence, when the world seemed to pause, I saw something. A figure standing just inside the snowstorm's curtain, illuminated for half a second by my high beams. No face, just an outline. Still, impossibly still. My heart slammed, I swerved. The tyres screamed against ice, and when the car steadied, the figure was gone. Maybe it was nothing. A trick of light. A snowdrift warped by wind. My rational brain grabbed onto that explanation and held tight, but the static didn't stop. It stayed in my head all night, and when I finally slept, I dreamed of standing on the side of that road, watching my own car rush toward me. In the dream, I didn't move. I didn't even try. I just let it hit. The room was silent, too silent. I could hear only the dull thud of my heartbeat echoing inside my skull. Each beat felt weaker, as if something deep inside was winding down. The air smelled metallic, sharp, like iron. It burned the back of my throat. I tried to call out, but no sound left my lips. My chest strained for breath, yet nothing filled my lungs. The light overhead shimmered, flickering between white and grey. The walls seemed to pulse, stretching, bending, pulling away from me. And then it came, a pressure heavy, relentless, as though invisible hands were pressing me flat against the bed. I could hear voices, distant and muffled, not kind voices, cold, detached, whispering in tones that did not belong to anyone I knew. A chill crawled up my spine. I felt the warmth in my body slipping away. My fingers no longer belonged to me. They were stiff frozen. The edges of the room dissolved into blackness. Not darkness, but something deeper. A void. A pit that wanted to swallow me whole. And from within that pit something moved. It had no shape, no face. Only weight, only presence. I tried to fight, to cling to the light above me, but the pull was stronger. It dragged me towards silence. And just before the last strand of awareness broke, I saw them. Figures, standing at the edge of the void, still waiting. Their eyes glowed faintly, pale against the abyss. One reached out a hand, not in comfort, but in command. I felt myself obey. I was falling into what I knew was not sleep, it was death, and it felt closer than I had ever dared to imagine. The hand was still there, hovering, waiting. Its fingers were long, almost bond-like, yet they shimmered as if made of smoke. When it moved, the black pit rippled like water disturbed by a stone. I felt my body sinking. My legs disappeared first, then my arms, until only my chest and head clung to the light above. The voices grew louder. They were no longer muffled. They were chanting, low, rhythmic. Each word scraped against my ears like metal dragged across stone. The air grew colder, so cold that even my breath, what little I had left, froze in my throat. I tried to scream, but the void swallowed the sound before it could escape. The hand inched closer, closer. Its smoke, like fingers brushed against my skin. A shock surged through me. Not pain, not heat, but something else. Memories. I saw flashes, my childhood, the first house I lived in, the laughter of people whose faces I could barely remember. They were being stripped away, one by one, pulled from me like pages torn from a book. The figures in the pit leaned forward. Their glowing eyes widened, hungry, expectant. I realized then what they wanted. Not my body, not my breath, but everything I had ever been. The hand tightened its grip, and the blackness swallowed me whole. A silence so deep it crushed me. The void had no floor, no ceiling, only endless black that pressed against my eyes. I was drifting, weightless, but not free. Something was pulling me deeper. My skin burned with cold. It felt like shards of ice carving into me. Yet there was no body to protect, only a shadow of myself. The chanting had stopped, but in its place came a sound, a single note, low, trembling. It pulsed through the void like a heartbeat that was not mine. Ahead, a light flickered, not warm, not holy. A sickly green flame twisting without smoke. Figures stood around it, closer now. I could see their shapes, tall and thin, draped in cloaks that bled into the darkness. Their faces were hidden, but their eyes glowed the same pale fire as before. The flame hissed, and in its glow I saw something worse. A mirror. It was not made of glass. It was liquid rippling like water, yet it held my reflection. Except it was not me. The face staring back was older, colder, its eyes hollow, its skin grey. It smiled, and the figures around the flame bowed their heads. The reflection raised its hand, and my own hand lifted with it. I had no control. The void was not just taking me, it was replacing me. The reflection's smile widened, too wide. The skin around its mouth cracked, stretching, splitting like old leather. A sound followed. Not laughter, not speech, but a hiss that seemed to crawl inside my head. The figures around the green flame stepped closer. Their cloaks brushed the ground, but made no sound. They circled me, tightening the ring. The flame grew taller. Its glow painted the mirror in shifting patterns, and in those patterns I saw fragments of myself. Every lie I had told, every fear I had buried, every moment I wished to forget. The reflection whispered, its lips moved, but no sound came. Yet the words rang inside me sharp as knives. You are not leaving, you are staying, you are ours. I tried to fight, to pull away, but my body was already obeying. The reflection raised both hands, and the figures bowed lower as if in worship. I felt chains, invisible yet heavy. They wrapped around me, pulling me toward the mirror. The liquid surface rippled. It wanted me inside. As my face drew closer, the reflection spoke again. This time aloud, its voice was mine, but hollow, broken. Step in, and let the world forget you ever lived. The mirror's surface quivered. Green light licked across it like fire over oil. The closer I came, the stronger the pull became. My breath, if I still had breath, scraped like glass in my throat. The air smelled of ash, sharp and bitter, as if I had already burned. The figures tightened their circle. Their eyes glowed brighter, pulsing with the rhythm of the void's heartbeat. Each pulse dragged me closer. I could see my reflection clearly now. It was not a shadow. It was alive. And it was waiting. Its lips curled into a grin that was all teeth, too many teeth. The sound of cracking bone filled my ears as its head tilted unnaturally far to one side. I tried to pull back. My arms trembled against the chains I could not see, but my strength bled away into the dark. The reflection pressed its hand flat against the surface. The mirror rippled. The glassy skin shivered. I felt the same hand pressing against mine, though I had never moved. It was warm, too warm, alive. Then the whisper came again, from everywhere at once. You were never meant to return. You were meant to take my place. The figures began to chant again low. Endless. The sound made my teeth ache, made my bones hum. The mirror split open, not like glass shattering, but like flesh tearing. And inside it was not me, it was a mouth. A vast, endless mouth. The mouth gaped wider. Rows of teeth spiraled inward, sharper than knives, endless as the void itself. A stench rushed out, thick and foul. Rotting earth, burned flesh. The kind of smell that forces your stomach to twist, even when you have no body left to have. The chanting grew frantic. The figures swayed in rhythm, their cloaks brushing the ground like waves in a storm. Their voices blended into one endless sound. Not words, not language, just hunger. The reflection stepped aside. It bowed its head toward the mouth, inviting me forward. The invisible chains pulled tighter. My chest pressed against the liquid surface. It burned like fire and ice all at once. I felt my skin peeling away, though I had nothing left but the thought of skin. From deep inside the spiral of teeth came movement. Something was waiting within, something vast. Its eyes glowed through the darkness, colder than the void itself. And then I heard it, a voice that was not a whisper, not inside my mind, but real, thunderous. You are the offering. You are the bridge. The figures fell to their knees. The flame roared higher. The mirror mouth trembled, straining for me. I realized then, this was not death. This was something far worse. The void did not want me gone. It wanted me changed. It wanted me to become its voice, waiting to swallow. The chains cut deeper, not into flesh, into memory. Each link tore away pieces of who I was. My first breath, my first step, my first fear. Gone, devoured by the void. The mouth widened, trembling with anticipation. Its spiral of teeth glistened with thick, black fluid that dripped like tar. Each drop sizzled as it hit the ground, filling the air with a stench of sulfur. The voice boomed again. Closer now. You will not escape. You will become what I was. The reflection moved beside me. It leaned close. Its breath was hot against my ear. This is how it always ends. One leaves, one remains. My heart pounded. If I still had blood, it would have burst through my veins. The sound drowned out the chanting, louder, faster, frantic. I pulled against the chains. They groaned, straining, cracking. A faint spark of light flared in my chest. The figures hissed. The reflection snarled. The mouth screamed, its teeth grinding together like mountains collapsing. And for one impossible moment I felt free. The chains snapped. The flame shuddered. The void recoiled. But the freedom came with a cost. The spark inside me burned brighter, and I realized it was not light. It was fire, and it was not mine. The fire spread quickly. It seared through me, racing along nerves that no longer existed. Every flicker was a scream, every crackle a command. The figures shrank back, their glowing eyes narrowing in fear. The green flame wavered, bending toward me as if pulled by the blaze inside. The reflection staggered. Its hollow grin faltered. For the first time it looked afraid. I opened my mouth to breathe, and fire poured out. Not red, not orange, but white, blinding, pure. The void shook. The mouth shrieked, its spiral of teeth rattling like chains of iron. Black fluid sprayed in every direction, sizzling into smoke as the fire consumed it. The voice thundered, deeper than before. You carry what was forbidden. You carry the spark. The chains of memory still coiled around me, glowing hot where the fire touched them. One by one, they melted, dripping away into nothing. I felt my name return, my breath, my heartbeat. But the spark inside me grew wilder, hungrier. It was not saving me, it was claiming me. The reflection lunged, clawing toward my chest. Its voice cracked with desperation. "Do not let it in! It is older than the void!" "It will burn everything." For a moment, I believed it. For a moment, I wanted to tear the fire out, to silence it. But the flame only roared higher, and in its light, I saw the truth. The void was afraid of me. The void trembled. Its endless black rippled like water under a storm. The figures scattered, their cloaks dissolving into smoke as they fled into the dark. The mouth snapped its spiral teeth together, a sound like stone cracking against stone. It lunged forward, jaws stretching wide enough to swallow entire worlds. But the fire inside me blazed higher. It licked across my skin, though I had no skin left to burn. It filled my eyes until I could see nothing but white. The reflection screamed. Its face warped, melting into liquid shadow. It clawed at its own skin as if the fire were eating it alive. "Fool!" it howled. "You will burn with it! You will burn forever!" The green flame shattered with a thunderous crack. Shards of light spun upward, piercing the blackness like falling stars in reverse. The chanting was gone. The silence was deeper than ever. Only the roar of the fire remained. I raised my hand, and the void recoiled. The mouth shrieked, pulling back into itself, as if the fire had driven it into retreat. For the first time, I was not the prey. I was the threat. But the fire did not calm. It clawed at me from within, demanding release. Every heartbeat made it stronger, brighter, wilder. The voice returned, softer now, but closer. Inside my head. "You are no longer yours. You are mine. And through you, I will return." The spark was not freedom. It was something imprisoned. Something that had waited for a host. And I had set it free. The fire spoke again, its voice layered like 1,000 echoes inside my skull. It was not male or female. It was ancient. It was everything at once. The void around me revved. Black waves crashed upward like claws trying to drag the flame back. But every strike turned to ash before it could reach me. The figures were gone. The green flame had died. Only the spiral mouth remained, retreating into the distance like a wounded predator. I felt the spark pushing against my ribs. Each pulse shook the air. White fire dripped from my fingers and hissed when it touched the nothingness below. I tried to speak. My voice cracked like splintering wood. "Ooh, what are you?" The fire pulsed once more. Its answer was not sound. It was an image burned into my mind. A door of light buried inside the darkness. Behind it, shapes moved. Not human, not even alive by any definition I knew. Something vast waiting, chained. The voice whispered. I was locked away before the first star burned. I am the hunger between the atoms. You have opened the gate. I staggered. The fire coiled around me like a living serpent, wrapping my arms, my throat, my chest. It was not a weapon. It was a key. The void began to collapse inward. The spiral mouth screamed, twisting itself into a whirlpool of teeth and shadow. The blackness pulled tighter, drawing everything toward the door of light. And I understood the next revelation. I was not escaping death. I was dragging something back with me. The door of light loomed before me. Its surface rippled like molten gold, spilling radiance into the void. Each wave of brilliance seared my vision, but I could not look away. The fire inside me howled in recognition, not fear, not resistance, joy. The spiral mouth shrank back, gnashing its endless teeth, refusing to cross the threshold. Even the void recoiled, shuddering like a living thing. The voice whispered again, softer now, almost tender. "You are the vessel. Open the way. Set us free." The chains of memory, once broken, reformed. But now they were glowing, forged from the fire itself. They pulled me forward, step by step, toward the golden surface. I tried to resist. I planted my feet, though there was no ground. The blaze within me surged, boiling through my veins. I screamed, but it came out as a roar of white flame. The door shivered at the sound. It was answering me. Through the glowing cracks I glimpsed shapes, eyes too vast to belong to a body, limbs stretching into infinity, and a single hand pressing against the other side. Its fingers were longer than mountains. Each nail was carved from starlight, and when it moved, the entire void shook in terror. The fire within me cried out, "Open! Do not delay! They are waiting!" My reflection reappeared in the mirror shards drifting around me. Its face blistered and torn, but its voice was clear. "If you open that door, nothing will survive. Not here, not anywhere." I stood between them, the fire in my chest demanding release, and my own broken reflection begging me to resist. The golden door groaned. Cracks spread across its surface, and the hand on the other side pressed harder. The cracks split wider, light blood through them in burning streams, cutting across the void like rivers of fire. Each drop of golden light hissed when it touched me. It was not warm. It was weight, a crushing presence that bent my bones and filled my lungs with smoke. The hand behind the door dragged its claws slowly downward. Sparks exploded in its wake, each spark birthing shapes that twisted, writhed, and dissolved before my eyes. The fire in my chest thrashed wildly. It struck against my ribs, desperate to escape. Now, it thumbed me out. I will finish what was begun. And my reflection's face rippled in the shards around me. Its eyes were hollow pits, yet its voice carried urgency. You are being used. You are nothing but a key. If that door opens, you will vanish into it. Only the fire will remain. The void itself began to collapse inward, drawn toward the golden cracks. The spiral mouth screamed, gnashing in fury as it was pulled against its will. Figures, those cloaked shapes, were dragged from the shadows, their glowing eyes wide with terror. One claw of the hand punched through the door. It tore free with a sound like mountains breaking. The light intensified until it filled everything. Every shadow, every breath. I staggered forward, knees bending under the pressure. The fire inside me was no longer mine to command. It guided my arms upward, palms pressed against the glowing surface. The voice inside me roared, "Open the gate, let eternity in." The golden door buckled. Its surface shattered like fragile glass, and in the instant before it broke, I felt my reflection reach for me, its cold fingers brushing mine. The door shuddered. Golden shards rained down like molten glass, burning holes into the void itself. The fire inside me screamed with triumph. Its voice cracked the silence, shaking the darkness into splinters. "At last," it cried. "At last the way is open." The claw pushed farther through. Each finger stretched like a pillar of starlight curling toward me. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of scorched metal and ozone. I could not move. The chains of fire bound me tighter, pulling my arms against the glowing fracture. The heat blistered my skin. Every nerve was aflame. Then, a hand cold, unyielding, it seized my wrist, my reflection, its hollow eyes locked onto mine, burning with something beyond fear. "You are not its vessel," it rasped. "You are its prison." The fire inside me roared with fury. "Lies! You were broken so I could rise! Let me through!" The reflection pulled harder, dragging me away from the door. The chains groaned, tightening, snapping one by one. The golden cracks pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat, each pulse threatening to burst. The claw scraped against the doorframe, widening the fissure. Through it I saw more eyes, billions, layered upon one another, staring unblinking. The void shook itself apart. The spiral mouth shrieked, swallowed whole by the collapsing dark. The cloaked figures scattered like ash in a storm. My reflection's grip tightened. Its voice broke into a scream. "Choose now! Open the door, or close it forever." The light split into a blinding flood, and in that moment my body leaned both ways at once, toward the fire within and toward the reflection without. The golden fracture widened. Light poured out in violent waves, searing everything it touched. My body shook under the weight of two forces pulling me apart. The fire inside clawed upwards, scorching my veins, my throat, my skull. It howled like a beast caged for eternity. "Do not resist, you were made for this." You, my reflection, held fast, its grip icy against my burning flesh. Its hollow eyes glimmered with something I had not seen before. Not fear, not anger, but sacrifice. The void screamed as it collapsed further. Black storms crashed against the golden light, vanishing in sparks. The spiral mouth twisted in agony, dragged closer to the opening it had once guarded. I gasped. The air was ash. My lungs filled with smoke that was not smoke at all, but the dust of collapsing worlds. The claw forced itself deeper through the breach. Its nails scraped against my chest, drawing a line of fire across my heart. The touch burned through me, fusing the spark inside with the being beyond. My reflection screamed. It yanked harder, pulling my arm so violently that the chains of fire cracked and shattered. For one instant I was free, but freedom came with a choice. The fire surged, begging to be unleashed. The reflection pleaded, its hollow face breaking apart in shards of glass. Behind the door, billions of eyes blinked in unison. The golden surface quaked. Seconds from collapse, my body trembled, my soul split in two, and I knew, whichever path I chose, the world I left behind would never be the same. The golden door screamed, not with sound, with pressure, an invisible force that cracked the void like glass beneath a hammer. I staggered, torn between the blaze inside and the reflection's grip. My body was a battlefield. Every nerve burned, every thought fractured. The claw pushed deeper. Its starlit nail carved sparks into my chest. Each spark exploded outward, birthing fleeting shapes of wings, eyes, mouths, things not meant to exist. The fire roared inside me. It surged against my ribs, desperate to join the flood of light. "If you hold me back," it thundered, "you will burn alone." The reflection's voice cracked, splintering like stone under strain. "If you release it, everything burns. There will be no world left to return to." The void convulsed. Its last fragments spiraled into the golden breach, torn apart like sand in a storm. The spiral mouth shrieked one final time before vanishing into the radiance. The hand behind the door pressed harder. Cracks spread across its surface in a lattice of molten gold. Light bled through every fracture, blinding, unbearable. I fell to my knees. The chains of fire reformed, binding me once more. The reflection clung to my arm, its glassy skin shattering with every pull. You must choose now, it hissed. Shill it, or become it. The door buckled. The hand forced through another claw. Behind it, billions of eyes blinked in rhythm, fixed on me alone. And then, the door began to break on its own. I had seconds, no more. The cracks screamed louder. Golden light tore the void apart, ripping holes in the black until nothing was left but shivering fragments. The fire inside me pulsed with savage joy. It slammed against my chest like a second heartbeat, faster, louder, unstoppable. Yes, it thundered. The seal is broken. Now let me through. The reflection clung tighter. Its body fractured pieces of its glass, like skin breaking away, dissolving into ash. Its voice was a whisper now, trembling. You can still hold it back, but only if you give yourself away. The door split wide enough to reveal what waited beyond. A storm of eyes, burning suns without warmth. They rolled and turned, each one reflecting a universe inside it. And in the centre, a mouth, vaster than the spiral I had seen before. A mouth large enough to swallow eternity whole. Its breath poured through the breach. It stank of ages gone, of stars rotting, of time collapsing in on itself. My lungs filled with it, heavy and foul until I felt I would drown. The hand that pressed against the door pushed farther. Its claws stretched toward me. Closer, closer. The fire surged. It rose into my throat, demanding release. Tearing at my insides with white-hot claws. If you deny me, it shrieked. You will die as nothing. The reflection raised its broken face to mine. Its hollow eyes glowed faintly now, lit by some last fragment of hope. If you accept it, all will die as nothing. The door groaned. The final crack stretched from top to bottom. One more heartbeat, and it would shatter. The final crack split wide. Golden shards rained down, slicing the void into ribbons. Each fragment burned like molten glass, hissing as it vanished into nothing. The fire inside me screamed with triumph. Its voice rattled my bones, splitting thought from thought. No, let me ascend. The vessel is ready. The reflection gripped me harder, though its body was falling apart. Its fingers were jagged shards digging into my wrist, cutting without blood. You must choose, it whispered. Sell the gate with yourself, or let the fire devour everything. The hand behind the door forced its way through. 5 claws pierced the breach, curling inward like a cage. The light flared, flooding every shadow, every space, until even the memory of darkness began to fade. I fell forward, pinned between them. The fire boiled out of my eyes and mouth, a torrent of white flame. The reflection pulled against it, screaming as cracks split across its hollow skull. The mouth beyond the door opened. Its voice was not sound but gravity itself, bending me toward it. Enter. Become. I'll make. My heart raced. Each beat felt like the last. Each breath came as ash. The reflection's grip faltered. Its voice broke into a final cry. You are the lock. If you open, there will be no return. The golden surface shattered. The door was gone, and I was standing on the edge of what lay beyond. Beyond the shattered door, there was no sky, no ground, only an endless ocean of light shifting like liquid gold. The fire inside me trembled with delight. It roared like thunder across a hollow canyon. At last, the chains are broken. The path is open. The hand reached fully through. Its claws scraped against the void's broken edges, pulling its body closer. Every movement shook reality, sending cracks racing through what remained of the dark. The reflection stumbled beside me. Its form was almost gone, crumbling into dust with every breath. Yet its eyes, those hollow, fractured eyes, still burned with defiance. Do not step through, it rasped. Once you cross, you will never return. The fire will consume you, and it will wear your face. The ocean of light rippled. Shapes rose from its surface, eyes, mouths, limbs that reached endlessly upward, each one fixed on me. Their gaze was unbearable. It pressed down heavier than mountains, filling my chest with crushing weight. My knees buckled. I fell forward. The fire surged, seizing control of my body. It lifted me, made me walk toward the ocean. Each step burned away what little remained of myself. Memories peeled from me like ash in the wind. The reflection screamed. It threw itself at me, though it was barely whole. Its broken hands clutched my shoulders, holding me back with the last of its strength. Fight it, it wailed. You are not a vessel. You are the last barrier. The ocean of light split apart. From its depths, a colossal figure began to rise. Its face was made of stars collapsing into black holes. Its voice was silence that deafened everything. And I knew the door had not led to freedom. It had led to something older than creation itself. The colossal figure rose higher, its shape blotting out even the ocean of light. Its body was a storm of galaxies collapsing, stars torn apart in its wake. Every movement warped the air, bending time itself around its limbs. The fire inside me howled with ecstasy. Its voice was no longer a whisper, but a scream that shook through bone and thought alike. Yes! The first hunger! The true master! At last I return! The reflection clung to me desperately. Its hollow frame cracked, shards breaking away into the void, but still it held on. Its voice was hoarse, barely audible against the roar of the fire. Listen, you still have a choice. This thing cannot take shape without you. It needs your will, your surrender. The ocean of light churned violently. Waves the size of mountains crashed upwards, spilling molten brilliance across the broken void. Each droplet hissed against my skin, burning away what fragments of humanity I still carried. The figure's face lowered toward me. 1,000 black holes stared into my soul, pulling at everything I was. I felt my name slipping, my memories dissolving, my very sense of self unravelling. The reflection screamed in my ear, "Resist! If you give in, you will not become a god. You will become its shadow." The fire inside me lashed out, wrapping my body in chains of white flame. It forced my arms upward, palms open in worship. My mouth moved, but the words were not mine. "Take me. Kill me. Let me be your voice." The colossal figure leaned closer. Its silence pressed into me like a blade of pure gravity. The reflection pulled harder, its body cracking apart with every effort.
"You are not its voice!" it shrieked. "You are its silence!"
For one impossible heartbeat, I felt both forces tearing me apart, the fire demanding I surrender, the reflection demanding I resist. And above me, the figure opened its mouth. A mouth that spanned eternity, a mouth that waited for my decision. The colossal mouth yawned wider. Its edges tore through the void like jagged cliffs, its breath pulling me forward with irresistible force. The fire inside me raged. It lashed at my ribs, clawed at my throat, demanding release. "This is the moment," it thundered. "Give yourself, and we shall be endless." The reflection's grip trembled. Its body was splintering, each crack spilling fragments of itself into the abyss. Yet still it held on, its hollow eyes locked on mine. "You are not endless," it hissed. "You are human. That is your strength." The pull of the mouth grew stronger. Time itself bent toward it, dragging every thought, every memory, every fragment of existence into its hunger. The void shivered like a dying animal. The ocean of light convulsed. I could feel myself splitting apart, one half burning, consumed by white fire, the other half frozen, clinging to the reflection's cold grip. The colossal figure's voice finally came. Not silence, not gravity, but words layered in infinite echoes. "You are mine. You were always mine." The fire howled with triumph, bursting through my skin in rivers of blinding light. The reflection screamed, tearing at the chains that bound me, ripping them away piece by piece. The mouth's breath pulled harder. My feet lifted from the ground that was not ground. My body leaned toward eternity, my soul stretched thin as glass. For one instant, I felt everything, every star, every void, every death and every birth, and then I felt myself letting go. Letting go was not falling, it was unravelling. My body scattered into threads of light, each strand pulled toward the colossal mouth. The fire within me howled with victory, expanding until it filled every fragment of my being. The reflection's grip slipped. Its hands tore away as my arms dissolved into sparks. Its face shattered, leaving only hollow eyes staring back at me. "You are more than this," it whispered, voice fading like dust in a storm. "Remember." The pull of the mouth grew unbearable. Every strand of me bent toward it, drawn into its endless gravity. The roar of its hunger drowned out all thought. I passed through its teeth. Each fang was a mountain of burning stone, each one scraping pieces of me away. I screamed, but no sound left me. Inside, there was no light, only a vast chamber of shadows deeper than the void I had left behind. The fire flickered uncertainly, its triumph faltered. And then I heard it, a heartbeat, not mine, not human, but vast, steady, older than time. The shadows rippled. From their depths eyes opened, not billions, not infinite, just two. They were larger than worlds, and they were staring directly at me. The fire trembled in terror. No, not this. Not them. For the first time, the fire sounded afraid. The two eyes blinked. The sound was like thunder rolling across broken glass. Their gaze pierced through me, through the fire, through every thread of what I had become. I felt naked before them, stripped of memory, stripped of will. The fire inside me raved violently. It clawed at my bones, desperate to flee. "Do not look at them," it shrieked. "They are the first silence. They will unmake even me." The shadows stirred. Something vast shifted in the dark. Its movement shook the chamber, each tremor sending shockwaves through what was left of my soul. A voice rose, not in sound, but in thought. Deep, slow. Final. "You are not vessel. You are fracture." But the fire howled, its light sputtering. "No! He is mine! He is the key to the gate!" The eyes narrowed, and the fire screamed louder. It blazed white hot, pouring out of my chest in a storm of flame. It tried to engulf the shadows, but the darkness did not burn. It absorbed, it swallowed. The fire recoiled in terror, its roar became a whimper. "This is wrong. This was not meant to happen. We were supposed to reign." The two eyes never blinked again. They simply stared. And the longer they stared, the more I felt the fire peeling away from me, strand by strand. For the first time since the door broke open, I felt something strange, relief. The fire thrashed wildly. It tore through the chamber, spraying rivers of white flame across the shadows. Each stream vanished instantly, swallowed whole by the silence. "No," it screamed. "I am older than stars. I am hunger without end." The two eyes never moved. They simply watched, their gaze pressed against me like an ocean of stone, unyielding, infinite. The fire curled tighter around my chest. Its voice was frantic now, desperate.
Do not let them take me.
"Without me, you are nothing." A husk, a shadow without purpose. But I could feel it slipping. Each thread of flame peeled away, drawn into the darkness like strands of smoke. The weight inside me lifted with every piece that left, and in its absence came clarity. The chamber smelled of cold iron, of rain falling on stone, of silence so deep it became sound. The voice of the eyes returned, steady and absolute. "You carried the hunger to the gate, but you are not hunger. You are the wound it made, and wounds come close." The fire shrieked louder, a sound of pure rage. It wrapped itself around my throat, choking, burning, clawing to stay.
If I die, you die with me. We are one.
The shadow surged. The chamber trembled, and the fire was ripped from me, screaming as it was dragged into the abyss. For the first time I could breathe. The fire vanished into the abyss. Its final scream echoed, then dissolved into nothing. For a moment, all was still. The chamber no longer burned. The air was cool, sharp, heavy with silence. I stood trembling, uncertain if I was whole or hollow. Every scar the fire had left remained carved into me. Yet the weight of it, the hunger, was gone. The two eyes loomed closer. Their light did not burn. It pressed instead, like a hand upon my chest, steady and deliberate. "You are unbound," the voice said, "but you are not free." The shadows shifted. Shapes stirred at the edges of the chamber, towering figures, faceless, cloaked in stillness. They stood like statues, unmoving, yet I felt their attention pierce me. The smell of rain grew stronger. Each drop carried the metallic tang of iron, as though storms had bled into stone. I tried to speak. My throat ached, words fragile as ash. What am I now? The silence deepened. The eyes blinked once, the sound like mountains grinding together. "You are fracture," the voice answered. "The scar where hunger touched creation. And scars remain." The cloaked figures moved at last. Their steps made no sound. Their shadows stretched across the chamber, curling toward me like reaching hands. I felt their touch brush against my arms, my chest, my face. Not warm, not cold, simply inevitable. The voice of the eyes rumbled again, slower this time. "You cannot return as you were, but you will return, not to live, to bind." The cloaked figures surrounded me. Their shadows wrapped around my body like chains, though no weight pressed down. It was restraint without force, control without touch. My chest tightened. Each breath echoed in the silence, louder than it should have been. The air smelled of wet stone, of rivers buried deep underground. The two eyes glowed brighter. They filled every corner of the chamber, every fracture of the void. Their voice struck like a drumbeat inside my skull. "The hunger is sealed, but the seal must endure. You will endure." The figures raised their hands. Their fingers were long, thin, and pale as bone. When they touched me, light spread from their palms, not golden, not white, grey. It seeped into me, crawling across my skin, sinking into my veins. I gasped, but no sound followed. The grey light silenced even my scream. The reflection appeared one last time. Its hollow face hovered within the grey glow. It was shattered, broken, barely whole, yet its voice was clear. "This is the cost. You do not die, you do not live, you bind." The grey light thickened. It hardened around my limbs like stone. It spread across my chest, locking me in place, pressing into the scars the fire had left. I could no longer feel my heart beat, only the steady thrum of silence, steady, endless. The eyes narrowed, and their voice came one final time. "You will walk the worlds as fracture, not man, not flame, but seal, forever." The chamber shook, the shadows closed in, and I felt myself being pushed, not into death, not into life, but into something in between. I fell, not through air, not through void, through silence. The grey light bound me tighter with every second. It seeped into thought memory, even the rhythm of my breath. I was no longer myself. I was something written in chains. The fall ended suddenly. I stood on ground again, if it could be called ground. Stone stretched endlessly, cracked and jagged, glowing faintly with veins of dull silver. No sky above. Only a ceiling of shifting shadows rippling like black water. The air was heavy, damp, metallic. Each inhale carried the taste of rust. Each exhale left frost on my lips. I touched my chest. Where my heartbeat should have been, there was only a hollow thrum. Not fast, not slow, just constant. The reflection appeared before me once more. Its form was faint, like smoke clinging to broken glass. It tilted its head, its hollow eyes glinting faintly with the same grey light now crawling under my skin. "You have crossed," it whispered. "This is the threshold, not life, not death, the in-between." I turned slowly. The endless stone stretched in all directions, but in the far distance I saw something impossible. A door, not golden, not burning, but carved of black stone, sealed with spirals etched deep into its surface. The reflection's voice grew sharper. "That is where you will begin, and where you will never end." The ground trembled. A low hum rose beneath my feet, vibrating through the cracks in the stone. The sound was not coming from the door. It was coming from me. The seal had awakened. The hum grew stronger. It pulsed inside my bones, vibrating through marrow, resonating in the hollowness of my chest. Each pulse echoed the rhythm of the stone beneath me, as if we had become one. The reflection drifted at my side. Its form was weaker now, unravelling at the edges, yet its hollow eyes never left the black stone door in the distance. "You feel it," it whispered. "The seal is not just upon you, it is you." I took a step forward. The ground responded. Cracks split outward in jagged spirals, glowing faintly with the same grey light that filled my veins. The air shifted. Cold wind slid across the endless plain, carrying with it a faint metallic scent. Not rust this time. Blood. I froze. Far ahead, just beyond the black stone door, a shape moved. Tall, unnatural. Its outline flickered like heat rising from desert sands. The reflection's voice lowered. "Something waits there. Something bound as you are bound." I felt the seal tighten around my body. Not painfully. Purposefully. As if it knew I would need its strength. The shape drew closer. Its steps were soundless, but each one pressed against the silence like a drum bit. The air grew heavier, colder. My breath fogged with every exhale. When it finally stopped, I saw it clearly. A figure cloaked in shadows, faceless, yet its presence weighed on me like a mountain. In its hand it held a key made of grey light, the twin of what now burned within my chest. The hum in my body resonated louder. The seal responded, and for the first time, I realised this was not just a prison, it was a calling. The cloaked figure stood in silence, its faceless head tilted slightly, as if listening to something beyond hearing. The key in its hand pulsed with dull light, beating in rhythm with the hum inside my chest. The reflection drifted closer, its voice thin, brittle. "Do you feel it?" The seal recognises its twin. It calls to you or warns you. The air thickened. Every breath scraped like iron dust against my lungs. The metallic scent of blood grew stronger, as though the wind itself carried the memory of slaughter. The figure raised the key. Its arm moved slowly, deliberately, each motion heavy with meaning. When the key pointed toward me, the seal in my chest blazed brighter. My body trembled under its pull. The reflection hissed. "Careful, that is no gift. That is a test." A cloaked figure stepped forward. Stone cracked beneath its feet, glowing in spirals that matched my own. The hum grew deafening, vibrating through the air, rapping my teeth, shaking the ground. Then, at last, it spoke. Its voice not sound, but vibration, a low resonance that sank directly into bone. "You are Fracture. I am Keeper. The gate waits." The key burned brighter. The seal inside me answered, surging like fire without flame. My vision blurred. The world rippled, bending toward the black stone door. The Keeper extended its hand. The key hovered inches from my chest, trembling in the space between us. If it touched, the seal would change. I would change. The reflection screamed, its voice shattering like glass.
Do not let it merge!
"If it does, you will no longer be bound."
You will be the gate itself!
The key hovered closer. Its glow spilled across my chest, seeping into the cracks of the seal carved within me. Each pulse was a hammer striking against bone. Each vibration shook the silence itself. The Keeper's faceless gaze never wavered. Its voice resonated deeper, shaking the ground. "Without the key, the gate will weaken. With the key, you become the gate." The reflection raved beside me, its hollow eyes burning like fractured glass. "You hear it, do you not? It does not offer choice. It demands surrender." The hum inside me surged. My chest ached as the seal strained, twisting as if it wanted to break open. The grey light bled from my veins, coiling upward in jagged spirals. The black stone door groaned in the distance. Lines of glowing script crawled across its surface, alive, shifting, rearranging. The air filled with the smell of burned stone and damp earth, as though the world itself had been split apart long ago. The key touched my chest. Agony flared. A cold fire seared through me, neither heat nor ice, but something that stripped away the boundary between the two. The reflection screamed. Its body shattered, scattering shards of light across the stone plain.
You cannot hold both! Seal and key cannot be one!
The Keeper's hand pressed harder. The key sank deeper into me, merging with the seal. The hum became a roar, shaking the endless plain, tearing cracks into the stone that reached all the way to the horizon. The black door pulsed in answer. Its spirals began to spin, not slowly, not patiently, but hungrily, and for the first time I understood. It was not waiting to be opened, it was waiting to open itself. The key sank fully into my chest. The seal flared, brighter than it had ever been. Grey light poured from my veins, splitting the air with jagged cracks. The sound was unbearable, not thunder, not stone, something deeper, as if existence itself was tearing. The Keeper released me. It stepped back, faceless and unmoving, as though its task was finished. The black stone door shuddered. Its spirals spun faster, grinding against each other with a shriek that echoed across the endless plain. Dust and ash rained from its surface. The scent of charred earth filled my lungs. I collapsed to my knees. The seal inside me writhed, no longer a mark. No longer chains, it was alive. Each pulse dragged my body toward the door. Each beat synced with the grinding spirals, pulling me closer to its hunger. The reflection's shards flickered weakly around me, fragments of its broken form. One shard hovered near my ear, whispering with fading strength, "You are no longer a prisoner. You are the threshold. If the door opens, it opens through you." I clutched my chest, but the seal only burned brighter. It spread across my skin, spiraling outward in living patterns of light. Every mark pulsed with the rhythm of the door. The keeper raised its head. For the first time, it spoke with something like urgency. "The gate awakens. If you falter, all falls." The door cracked. A line of black split through its surface, glowing faintly with light too deep to be called light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, and through the crack, something stirred. Something vast, something patient. Something that had been waiting for this moment. The crack widened. Black dust spilled from it, falling like ash, vanishing before it touched the ground. The air thickened. Each breath felt heavier, like inhaling molten iron. The silence around me bent, stretched, then split with low vibrations that shook through marrow and stone alike. The seal on my chest pulsed harder. It pulled me closer to the door, my body lurching forward with each beat. Every step left glowing spirals etched into the stone beneath my feet. The keeper remained still, faceless, its presence heavier than mountains. Yet I sensed unease in its silence. The reflection's shards flickered weakly in the air. One shard drifted close, whispering faintly, "Do not look into the crack. If you see it fully, it will claim you." But my eyes were already drawn. Inside the fissure, shapes shifted, not solid, not fluid. They flickered between both, forms too vast to be seen whole, yet too near to ignore. The smell of wet earth thickened, laced now with a sweetness, sickly and sharp, like rotting fruit. It clung to the air, coating my tongue. The door groaned again. The spirals spun faster, their grinding shriek piercing through my skull. Blood, or what felt like blood, ran warm from my nose. The crack split wider. From its depths, a single hand reached outward. Not of flesh, not of stone, but of shifting shadow layered with eyes that opened and closed in endless patterns. The seal on my chest blazed white-grey. It answered the hand, and in that moment, I understood. I was no longer standing before the gate. I was becoming it. The hand of shadow pressed farther through the crack. Eyes blinked open across its surface, each one staring into me, through me, beyond me. Every gaze was a weight pressing deeper than bone, heavier than silence. The seal blazed brighter. Its spiral spread across my body, curling over skin, burning into flesh until I felt less human, more stone, more pattern. Each mark pulsed in time with the door's grinding rhythm. The ground beneath me split. Cracks raced outward in jagged spirals, glowing with the same grey, white light that filled my veins. The plane itself was answering the seal. The keeper raised its hand as if to intervene, but froze. Its faceless head tilted slightly, its silence sharp and certain. The reflection's shards flickered, their voices fractured, broken. "You are losing yourself. Not vessel, not man. You are becoming threshold." The smell grew stronger. Rotting sweetness thickened until the air itself tasted spoiled. I gagged, though no air could leave me. The shadow hand brushed against the stone plane. Where it touched, spirals of black spread, devouring the light, rewriting the seal carved into the ground. The hum inside me faltered. I fell to my knees. The seal on my chest revved violently, pulling me toward the crack, pulling me into it. My body twisted as if it no longer belonged to me. The keeper finally spoke, its voice deep, vibrating through the breaking plane. "Contain it or become it. There is no third path." The crack tore wider. The shadow hand reached for me directly. Its countless eyes blinked in unison, and I felt them burrow inside my mind. And in that moment, I saw a truth I wished I had never seen. The door had never been holding them out. It had been holding me in. The truth clawed at me, not a thought, not a whisper, a certainty carved into the marrow of my being. The gate was not their prison. It was mine. The shadow hand reached closer, its countless eyes opening wide, flooding me with visions, worlds burning, oceans boiling, stars collapsing into silence, and at the centre of it all, my own face, hollow and vast, following the ruin forward. The seal on my chest convulsed, its spirals twisted violently, glowing too bright to bear. I felt my ribs splitting, my skin cracking, light pouring through the breaks like molten chains. The ground quaked. Stone shattered into dust, falling away into an endless void beneath. The hum of the seal became a scream. Not mine, not human, something older, deeper, bound within me. The keeper stepped forward. Its faceless shape loomed above me, voice resonant and absolute. Fracture cannot endure. Seal must choose, contain or collapse. The reflection's shards swirled around my head, flickering with desperation.
You cannot hold it forever, but you can end it. End yourself.
The shadow hand touched my shoulder. Cold spread instantly, devouring the fire of the seal, replacing it with endless hunger. Every eye upon it blinked in unison, and I felt my own eyes blink in rhythm. The door cracked wider, splitting nearly to the ground. The plane buckled, spirals burning black unraveling. I was no longer standing before the gate. I was the gate, and the thing beyond was stepping through me. The shadow hand pressed deeper into me. Its countless eyes blinked faster, a rhythm that shook my bones and unraveled my thoughts. Each blink was a command, each gaze a chain. The seal inside my chest read violently, spirals burning grey, wide against the black infection crawling through me. My body convulsed, torn between silence and hunger, binding and release. The keeper raised both arms. Its faceless form towered above the collapsing plane, its presence like a wall of stone against a storm. Its voice rumbled low, carrying finality. If you yield, the world's end. If you resist, you end. Decide. The reflection's shards swirled tighter around me. Each fragment pulsed with faint light, voices overlapping in a fractured chorus. You must choose now. Be the prison or break into the ruin. The crack in the black stone door screamed. From its depth, more shadows clawed outward, hands. Arms, shapes twisting and folding like broken wings, each one layered with blinking eyes. The air turned rancid. A choking sweetness, thick with rot, flooded my lungs until breathing felt like drowning. My skin blistered where the shadow touched, spirals warping, shifting from grey, white to black. I fell to my knees. The ground splintered beneath me, glowing with spirals that spun out of control. The hum of the seal became a roar, loud enough to shake the endless plane into fractures. The shadow hand closed around me, tight, claiming, and in that crushing grip I realised the truth. The gate would open whether I chose or not. The only choice left was how much of me would remain when it did. The shadow hand tightened. Its grip sank through flesh, through bone, into the spirals etched within me. Each eye along its surface opened wide, staring not at my body, but into the core of what I was. The seal screamed. Light burst from my chest in violent arcs, grey fire clashing against the black hunger that sought to drown it. The air cracked apart, every breath filled with the stench of blood, smoke, and rotting sweetness. The keeper moved closer, its faceless head lowered until it loomed above me, silent and immovable. But its silence now felt strained. Even it could not hold back what pushed through the gate. The reflection's shards swirled wildly, each fragment flickering brighter, breaking itself further just to remain.
Resist!
The voices wailed.
Even if it shatters you, resist!
The crack in the black stone door split fully open, no longer a fissure, a wound, an endless gash spilling shadows into the plane. From the wound, a figure began to emerge, not hand, not shape, something greater. Its head brushed the shifting ceiling of shadows. Its body was made of flowing eyes and endless mouths, speaking and screaming in silence all at once. Every step it took blood darkness across the spirals etched into the stone. The seal within me read harder, forcing my body upright. My mouth opened, though I did not will it. A voice poured out, not mine, not human. I am the lock, I am the wound, I will not break. The figure paused, countless eyes blinking at me in perfect unison. Its silence pressed against me like a tide, and then slowly it began to bend toward me, not to crush, not to devour, but to enter. The figure leaned closer, its body folded like liquid shadow, eyes rippling across its surface in endless waves. Each one blinked in rhythm with my heartbeat, dragging me into its pulse. The seal flared against it. Spirals of grey light burst outward from my chest, cutting through the dark, searing the plane in burning patterns. For an instant, the creature recoiled, but then it pressed harder, its countless mouths opening in silence, pouring hunger into me. The air grew thick. Every breath carried the weight of centuries, heavy with dust, ash, and the bitter taste of endings. The stone beneath my knees cracked, glowing brighter, struggling to hold against the spreading black veins. The keeper raised its arms, its faceless head turned toward me, its silence now sharp, urgent. Fracture must hold. If you fail, the gate becomes flesh. The reflection shards flickered at my side. Their voices cracked, breaking into fragments. You cannot resist forever, but you can decide what breaks. The figure's hand, vast, endless, pressed flat against my chest. Its eyes opened wider, spilling lightless radiance into the seal. The spirals read violently, splitting and twisting as if they would tear me apart from within. My body shook, my mind blurred. I felt myself unravelling, my veins replaced by patterns, my thoughts drowned beneath the tide of eyes. Yet somewhere, buried deep within the scream of silence and fire, a choice whispered. Break the seal and let it free, or break myself and bind it forever. The figure leaned closer still, its mass pouring into me, and for the first time I felt what it wanted. Not destruction, not hunger. A vessel? Me, the figure pressed deeper. Its shadow poured into the spirals on my chest, flooding my veins with black light. Every nerve burned, every bone screamed, as if I was being hollowed out from within. The seal resisted. It pulsed violently, bursting with grey fire that split the darkness into jagged fractures. For every inch the figure pushed in, the seal struck back, spirals twisting tighter, binding harder. The air around me convulsed. Waves of pressure rolled outward, flattening the stone plane, cracking it into shards. The sky of shifting shadows rippled as if recoiling from what was happening below. The keeper stood motionless, but its silence was sharp, heavier than words. It was watching, judging. The reflection shards swirled faster, their glow fading with each rotation. You cannot hold both, they hissed. If you merge, you cease. If you bind, you burn. Either way, the you that was will not survive. The smell of rot filled my lungs, bitter and sweet, choking me with every breath. The figure's countless eyes blinked within me now, opening across my arms, my chest, my throat. Each one stared outward as if I was becoming a window, a door. The seal flared one last time. Its spiral stretched, wrapping around the invading shadow, trying to cage it. The light grew unbearable, slicing the void with beams of grey fire. The figure roared in silence, its mouths twisted in fury, pouring into me harder, faster, desperate to claim me. My body tore between them, the seal binding, the shadow merging, and in the centre of it all my voice broke free, hoarse and trembling. I am not vessel, I am not prison. I am fracture, and fracture decides. The plane shook, the gate screamed, and the choice clawed its way closer. The spirals in my chest spun faster. Each rotation carved deeper, branding me from within. Grey fire surged outward, lashing against the shadow that poured into me. The figure's countless eyes widened. Some blinked shut, others split open, spilling waves of black light that tried to drown the spirals. The silence of its roar shook the plane, rattling stone into dust. I could not breathe. Every inhale tasted of ash and blood. Every exhale was a scream without sound. The keeper raised its hand but did not intervene. Its stillness was a judgment. It would not save me. It would only witness whether I held or broke. The reflection's shards flickered weakly, spinning around me in frantic circles, their voices fractured into overlapping cries.
You cannot carry both!
If you delay, both will consume you.
Choose, fracture, choose.
The ground cracked beneath my knees. Spirals of light and spirals of shadow spread outward, colliding, twisting together into patterns no eye could follow. The air bent and warped, thick with the smell of burning stone and rotting sweetness. The shadow figure forced harder into me. Its mouths gaped wide, swallowing the light, spitting it back as darkness. Eyes blinked open across my skin, staring into the endless plain. I felt my own vision splinter, each eye feeding me sights I could not contain. The seal screamed louder. Its spirals twisted tighter, binding the invading presence, pulling into chains of grey fire. But the more it bound, the deeper the shadow rooted into me. I was tearing apart, not body, not soul, but identity, and in the heart of the storm I realised the truth. There was no choice left to make. To survive either way, I would have to become both. The merging began, slow at first. The seal's grey fire coiled tighter, sinking into the shadow's endless eyes. The darkness did not vanish. It twisted. It adapted. The figure convulsed within me. Its countless mouths opened wide, pouring silence through my veins. The spirals of light answered, wrapping around each mouth, sealing it shut. But in binding it, I felt my own voice fracture. The plane responded. Stone cracked apart in spirals, glowing brighter, darker, brighter again, a war of patterns etched across infinity. Each pulse sent shockwaves outward, tearing fissures into the horizon. The sky shivered. Shadows rippled like water. Eyes blinked open in its surface, staring down as though the heavens themselves had become alive. The air burned in my lungs. Every breath carried the taste of rust and ash, sharp enough to cut. Every exhale spilled threads of grey fire laced with black smoke. The keeper lowered its arms, its silence deepened, heavy as judgment. You fracture what cannot be fractured. You bind what should not be bound. You will pay the cost. The reflection's shards swirled one last time. Their glow flickered faintly, desperate and broken. Do not lose yourself. Do not forget who you were. But the merging drowned their voice. The spirals burned into my skin, into my bones, into my mind. The shadow's eyes blinked within me, each one opening to visions I could not endure. Worlds breaking, oceans bleeding, skies collapsing into silence. And through it all, a new rhythm formed. Not the seal, not the shadow, something else. A heartbeat, steady, endless, not human, mine. The new heartbeat echoed across the plain. Each thrum shook the stone, bending the spirals etched into it. Each pulse rippled through the sky of shadows, forcing the watching eyes to blink in unison. I rose slowly. The seal burned across my body, no longer grey alone, but streaked with veins of black fire. Eyes blinked open within the spirals, merging with the patterns, staring outward through me. The plane responded to my steps. Stone folded inward, reforming in jagged spirals that followed wherever I moved. The cracks spread far, reaching the horizon, spilling their glow into the distance. The air thickened. The smell of iron returned, sharp and metallic, but now laced with smoke and rot. It clung to me as if the world itself knew I was no longer one thing, but both. The keeper stood motionless. Its silence had changed. Not judgment now. Recognition. You are no longer seal. You are no longer shadow. You are fracture made whole. Its faceless head tilted, as if bowing slightly, but I felt no reverence. Only inevitability. The reflection shards hovered weakly nearby, their voices cracked, fading. You are not you anymore, but something will wear your name. Pray it remembers mercy. The black stone door groaned behind me, no longer splitting, no longer screaming. It bent inward, spirals twisting to match the rhythm of my heartbeat. The gate was not separate from me now. It was me. The plane quaked harder. Stone collapsed into itself. The sky's countless eyes wept lightless tears that sizzled when they struck the ground, and in the silence that followed I understood. I had not closed the gate. I had not opened it. I had become it. The heartbeat grew louder. It was no longer only within me. It pulsed through the plane, through the sky, through every fracture of this realm. The spirals on the ground twisted violently, breaking apart into new shapes. They did not radiate outward anymore. They bent inward, circling back toward me, as though the entire world was folding around its center, around me. The air thickened until it became hard to breathe. Each inhale tasted of smoke and wet soil. Each exhale left trails of grey mist that curled into strange symbols before vanishing. The keeper lowered itself slowly to one knee. Its faceless form bowed in silence, not out of reverence, but acceptance. You are gate. Its voice resonated, heavy as stone. Through you all crossings are decided. The reflection's shards flickered dimly at my side. They trembled, voices fractured, fading into whispers. Do not forget you were human once. If you forget, everything you bind will break. The black stone door behind me split apart with a final groan. It did not open. It dissolved, crumbling into dust that was pulled into my spiraling chest. The weight of it sank deep into me, endless and immovable. The sky above tore. Shadows peeled away, revealing a horizon that was not light and not dark, but something between. Shapes read there, half-formed, waiting. The plane convulsed. Eyes opened across the cracks, staring upward, staring inward, staring at me. Their gaze was not hunger, it was anticipation. And I realized the gate was not meant to keep them out. It was meant to decide what comes through. And now that choice belonged to me. The spirals within my chest spun faster. Each rotation pulled at the horizon, bending the half-formed shapes that wreathed in the distance. They trembled like predators waiting at the edge of a cage. The heartbeat thundered louder. It echoed across the plain, across the broken sky, across the silence itself. Every pulse felt like a summons. Every beat a command. The keeper remained kneeling, its faceless head tilted downward, its voice deep, resonant. You hold the threshold. Now the world's weight. What passes is yours to decree. The reflection shards drifted weakly around me. Their glow was faint, but their whisper pressed sharp into my ear. Do not listen to the keeper. It wants the gate open. It always has. Remember who you were. Remember why you resisted. The ground cracked wider. From the fractures, black mist seeped upward, curling into tendrils. They wreathed like searching fingers, reaching for my legs, my arms, my chest. The air grew heavier, thick with the stench of charred stone and spoiled sweetness. Every breath felt like inhaling a grave. The horizon shivered. One of the half-formed shapes pulled itself closer. It dragged a massive limb across the broken sky, its surface rippling with unblinking eyes. Each blink aligned with my heartbeat, each gaze pressed its hunger into me. The spirals on my skin blazed brighter, answering it. The gate within me pulsed open, just a fraction, enough for the air to ripple, enough for the world to shudder. The keeper raised its head, its silence shifted into anticipation. The first crossing begins, and in that moment, I knew. Whatever stepped through now would set the course of everything to follow. The horizon bent inward. The half-formed shape pressed closer, its mass rippling like liquid shadow stretched too thin. Every movement scraped against the silence, sharp as blades dragged across stone. The spirals on my chest tightened. They spun violently, radiating light and shadow in equal measure. Each pulse dragged at the shape, pulling it nearer, even as I tried to resist. The reflection shards whirled around me. Their glow flickered in panic, their whispers rising into frantic cries.
Hold it back! Do not let the first through!
If you do, you will never close the gate again. The keeper rose to its full height, its silence pressed like a wall, unshakable, certain. It raised one pale hand toward the horizon, and its voice rumbled low. The threshold must open. It was always meant to open. The air convulsed. Cold, heavy, bitter with the taste of rot. Each breath stabbed my lungs, thick with the scent of burned soil and spoiled fruit. The shape dragged itself closer. A limb broke free of the horizon, dripping black mist stretching across the plain. It slammed down with a soundless impact that shattered stone into spiraling fragments. The spirals on my skin blazed hotter. They wreathed like living things, desperate to answer the call. I felt the gate inside me strain, pushing outward, begging to split open. My body shook. My vision blurred, and in the chaos a choice loomed. To open and let the first crossing reshape everything, or to hold and risk tearing myself apart to keep the gate sealed. The shape pressed closer still, its countless eyes fixing on me. Every gaze whispered the same thing: open. The spirals in my chest twisted violently. Each rotation carved fire and shadow deeper into my veins. The gate strained against me, pushing outward with every heartbeat. The shape loomed closer. Its massive limb dragged across the sky, dripping streams of black mist that hissed as they touched the plane. Each drop burned holes into the stone, glowing with spirals that spun out of control. The reflections' shards screamed, their voices fractured, overlapping in desperation.
If you yield now, the flood will never stop. You will not be gate, you will be doorway.
The keeper's silence pressed harder. It felt like gravity pulling me to my knees. Its faceless head turned toward me, and its voice thundered like the grinding of mountains. Do not resist. Resistance is fracture. Fracture is weakness. The air rippled with pressure. The smell of ash and rotting sweetness choked me, heavy enough to drown. My vision blurred into spirals of grey and black, twisting tighter, spinning faster. The shape's eyes opened wider. Dozens, hundreds. Each gaze locked onto me, sinking deep into my chest. Everyone whispered the same word: open. The spirals flared hotter. They split across my skin, glowing cracks spreading through flesh and bone. Light and shadow bled from me in equal measure, burning the air, splitting the plane beneath my knees. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed instantly, devoured by the weight of silence pressing down. My body trembled on the edge. The gate within me screamed to be released. If I held longer, I would shatter. If I opened, the world would break. And in that moment, the first tear appeared. A sliver of grey, black light split across my chest. The gate had begun to open. With or without my consent, the sliver widened. Grey-black light spilled from my chest, bending the air into rippling distortions. The plane trembled beneath me, its spirals cracking apart, splitting into jagged fragments. The shape beyond the horizon surged forward. Its countless eyes flared brighter, feeding on the fracture I had become. Each gaze poured hunger into me, pulling the tear wider, pulling me closer to collapse. The reflections' shards screamed louder. Their voices splintered into echoes that cut through the silence.
Close it! Close it now!
Even if it takes you with it. But the gate inside me resisted. The spirals on my chest spun faster, blazing white-grey, wrapped in coils of shadow. Every pulse forced the crack wider, no matter how hard I tried to hold. The air grew unbearable, thick with the smell of iron and rot, sharp enough to cut my throat with every breath. Ash rained from the sky, coating the stone plane in a layer of grey dust that hissed under my feet. The keeper stepped closer, its faceless head lowered, voice deep and final. The first crossing begins. No force can halt it. The shape pressed its massive limb against the rip in my chest. Its fingers curled through, clawed and dripping with black mist. Each drop sizzled against my skin, burning spirals deeper into me. I screamed again. This time the sound broke through, ragged, raw, echoing across the plain like thunder. The reflection's shards flared one last time, hurling themselves at me, embedding into the spirals of my chest. The crack pulsed. Light and shadow warred in violent bursts, surging outward, tearing the air itself apart. And then, something stepped through. Not fully, not yet, but enough to make the world shudder. A face, formless, shifting, layered with eyes that blinked in opposite directions. It stared into me and through me, and whispered one word that froze the spiral's mid-spin mine. The word echoed inside me, mine. It was not sound. It was possession. The spirals on my chest froze mid-motion, then lurched violently, spinning backward. Each turn scraped against bone, carving deeper, widening the fracture. The face pushed closer. Its shifting surface rippled with mouths that opened and closed without sound. Eyes blinked in uneven rhythm, some fast, some slow, some never closing at all. Every gaze pressed a new weight into my skull until thought itself fractured. The plane convulsed. Stone shattered into spiraling chasms, each one glowing faintly before collapsing into endless black. The air split with pressure, thick with the metallic tang of blood and the sweetness of decay. The keeper staggered. For the first time, its silence cracked. It raised its pale hands, but its faceless head tilted, as though even it did not know if it could withstand what was emerging. The reflection's shards burned brightly within my chest. Their voices bled through in broken whispers. Do not yield, fracture must hold. But the face pressed harder, slipping further through the tear. Its formless skin brushed mine, cold and wet, leaving streaks of black mist that sank into the spirals. The word came again, sharper, absolute. Mine. My body convulsed. Eyes blinked open along my arms, my throat, my chest. Not mine, but its. Each one stared outward. Reflections of the endless gaze trying to wear me from within. The spirals flared violently, fighting back. Grey, white fire clashed with the dripping black mist. The collision shaking the plane, shaking the sky, shaking even the silence itself. And as the war tore through me, I realised the gate was no longer deciding. I was no longer deciding. Something else was choosing for us all. The word clawed through me. Mine. It split across every thought, echoing like a command carved into stone. The spirals thrashed in defiance. They spun faster, burning brighter, searing the black mist that crawled into me. But the face pressed closer, its endless eyes flooding my vision until I could no longer tell which were mine and which were its. The plane buckled under the strain. Stone spirals cracked apart, glowing fragments spinning upward like shattered stars. The air screamed, tearing open with each pulse of the gate inside me. The keeper lifted both hands, silence shattering into a low, grinding tone that shook the ground. It stepped forward, its faceless form towering against the storm of spirals, but even it seemed to falter as though weighed down by the same word. The reflection's shards flared one last time. Their broken voices cut through the chaos, jagged and desperate.
Do not believe it! You are not it!
You are fracture decides. The face pushed harder, its mouth stretched wide, spilling rivers of shadow that slid across my skin, sinking into every crack. Cold spread through me, hollowing my ribs, dimming the fire in my veins. Again the word came, heavier than before. Mine. My knees buckled. The spirals faltered, their light flickering like dying embers. The eyes on my body blinked in perfect rhythm with the face, each one staring outward as if I was no longer me. But in the suffocating silence, a flicker of will remained, small, fragile. Buried deep beneath fire and shadow, I seized it. It burned against the word, not strong, not certain, but mine. And the plane quaked harder, as if the world itself had heard the first hint of refusal. The flicker spread. A spark buried deep in the spirals, faint but steady. It pulsed once, then again, beating against the word that tried to bind me. The face recoiled slightly. Its countless eyes narrowed, blinking faster, spilling waves of black mist that clawed at the spark. Its mouths opened wider, silence pouring out like a flood meant to drown me. The spirals caught the spark. They spun tighter, weaving around it, shielding it. Grey, white fire roared to life, cutting through the mist, carving light into the fractures of my chest. The plane convulsed. Cracks tore deeper, spirals shattering into storms of glowing fragments. The sky above twisted violently, its endless eyes squeezed shut as if blinded. The keeper stood firm, its faceless head tilted upward. For the first time, its silence bent into something else, approval. You resist. Its voice rumbled low, steady, resonant, then resist fully. The reflection's shards blazed one final time, voices uniting in a broken chorus. Strike! Before it seals you from within! The face screamed without sound. Its skin rippled, mouths tearing wider, vomiting shadows that lashed around me like chains. They bit into my arms, my throat, my chest, dragging me closer. The spirals blazed hotter, burning those chains to ash. The spark within me flared, expanding, tearing against the word that sought to crush it. My voice broke free again, raw, jagged, but mine.
No.
Not yours, never yours. The face convulsed, its countless eyes snapping open in fury. The plane shook so violently the horizon itself fractured. And from the depths of the tear, the word came once more, dripping with rage. Then break, the plane split apart. Spirals shattered into 1,000 burning fragments, spinning upward like sparks from a dying star. The sky red, tearing open wider as the face pushed harder, its fury shaking everything. The word hammered through me again. Break, it struck like a blade, slicing thought, crushing will. My bones groaned beneath its weight, my vision blurred into black. The spirals inside me spun faster, desperate burning. They clawed against the word, but every rotation felt weaker, slower, thinner. The keeper raised both hands. Its voice rumbled like collapsing stone. If you yield, the fracture will end. If you resist, the fracture will become all. The reflection's shards shrieked in unison, their glow sputtering like dying embers.
You cannot hold forever, but you can choose how you fall.
The face surged closer, its endless mouth split open, pouring rivers of shadow into the tear in my chest. The taste of rot filled my throat. The stench of burning iron seared my lungs. My skin split under the pressure, eyes blooming across my body, each one screaming the word into me. Break. My knees slammed against the stone, cracks spiraling outward beneath me. The plane itself seemed to bow under the command. The spark inside me flickered, so small now, so fragile, yet still burning. I seized it again, clutching it against the tide. It pulsed once, sharp, steady, alive. My voice broke free through the storm, ragged but defiant. I will not break. I will decide. The spirals flared violently, exploding outward in blinding waves of grey, white fire. The face reeled back, its eyes snapping shut, its mouth shrieking silent fury. The chains of shadow crumbled, reduced to ash. And for the first time the word faltered. The silence cracked. The face recoiled, its endless eyes slamming shut against the blast of spirals. Mouths tore wider, but no sound emerged, only a shudder that rippled through the broken sky. The plane heaved beneath me. Stone spirals folded inward, collapsing into chasms that pulsed with grey light. From their depths rose streams of ash, curling upward like smoke from a funeral pyre. The keeper's faceless head tilted back, its voice trembled, heavy but no longer certain. You strike back, then strike completely. Do not let it recover. The reflection's shards spun around my chest, burning brighter, their whispers frayed but urgent. This is the moment. Do not hesitate. End it before it ends you. The spark within me surged, no longer faint. It roared into flame, spirals wrapping it tight, feeding it until it throbbed like a second heartbeat. The pressure inside my ribs grew unbearable, pressing outward, demanding release. The face steadied. Its countless eyes snapped open again, blazing black light that pierced the plain. The air convulsed, thick with the taste of rust and decay. Each breath was poison. Each exhale smoke. The word came again, louder, heavier, desperate break. The spirals countered with their own rhythm. Not a word, a command, a pulse of raw defiance that shook the world. The plain split wider, the sky blurred shadow. The horizon buckled under the collision. And in that chaos, I felt it. The choice to unleash everything. To let the spirals burn, consume, erase. Or to hold back, knowing what might emerge if I failed to end it here. The flame inside me burned hotter, demanding decision. My body shook on the edge of release. The next heartbeat would decide everything. The final heartbeat struck. The spirals ignited, burning brighter than the plain, brighter than the broken sky. Light and shadow roared together, no longer enemies, no longer divided. They fused into one blinding surge. The face shrieked without sound. Its countless eyes burst open, then shattered like glass, scattering across the horizon. Its mouths folded inward, collapsing into themselves, swallowed by the very silence it had once commanded. The gate within me closed, not by force, not by resistance, but by choice. The reflection's shards dissolved into ash, their last whisper fading. You decided, then remember. The keeper lowered its faceless head. Its voice rumbled low, final. The fracture is whole. The first crossing denied. The plane stilled. The sky sealed. The horizon healed. But the spirals remained, etched into my chest, glowing faintly with each breath. I was no longer who I had been. I was not the gate. I was not the fracture. I was something in between. The silence pressed close once more, heavy but calm. It carried no judgment now, only patience, because I knew the crossing had not ended. It had only been delayed. And when the spirals spin again, when the silence breaks once more, the choice will return. The gate will open, and I will be there,